What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another monthly market update where we look back at last month and what the real estate market's doing. So we got a little bit of a longer one today because I'm going to cover what the Liberal government's thinking about doing. This is all right off their website. It's their platform on housing. And I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. But first off, let's start off with our market update. So last month we saw 145 sold homes for an average sales price of $347,000, and average days on market for those listings was 55. Now coming back, Canadians have spoken. We have elected a Liberal minority government, and what that means for us is a couple different things. So let's start with the good, because the good, we all need a little bit of good. So they're looking at doing a first-time homebuyer savings account. So this is going to be a blend between a TFSA, a tax-free savings account, and an RRSP. Now what this means, you're probably already a little bit familiar, but I'll just give you kind of the broad stroke to start with. An RRSP, if you make $10 at your job and you put that money directly into that RRSP, that money doesn't get taxed. And the idea is that it's probably invested and over the years it'll grow. And then when you decide to retire, you can slowly withdraw that money and you get taxed on it then. But chances are you're probably in a lower tax bracket. Now with a TFSA, tax-free savings account, it should probably be called a tax-free investment account. Now you do get taxed on the money you make from your job, but once you put it into that account and hopefully it's growing and you've invested in GameStop and you're on Wall Street bets and it's exploding, whatever that money grows to, when you take it out, you don't get taxed on it. Now coming back to this first-time homebuyer savings plan, you actually don't get money that you don't get taxed on the money that you put into this account, and then as it grows, you don't get taxed on it when it comes out. Now the idea is that that money has to be used for the down payment of a house. It has to be used before you're 40 years old, and if it's not, then what happens is that money goes and defaults back to an RRSP. Now, whenever the government doesn't have their sticky little fingers in our pockets, hey, I think that's a pretty good thing. So going on to the bad is that the government's looking at targeting house flippers. Now, I've talked about it before. One of my pet peeves is when the government makes policies that are really to try and cool Toronto and Vancouver, but they draw it as a broad stroke and it affects all of us. And in Lethbridge, a lot of these issues we're not experiencing. So what they're thinking about doing is if you flip a house and you hold it for less than 12 months, you'd have to pay an extra home flipping tax on that money. Now, this doesn't make a ton of sense because for some sellers, if they have a dilapidated property, they're looking at selling and they want to be able to sell to as many people as possible. So to have that extra buyer pool of home flippers is actually an advantage to those sellers. Now, for us as the general public, home flippers are great because what they do is they go in and they buy these old properties and then they spend money on trades and they spend money at the home improvement stores, and that money is stimulating our economy. Now also let's look at the buyers for a second. Some buyers don't want to live in this brand new neighborhood without a whole lot of trees. They might want a character home or a character well-established neighborhood, but they still want that newer house. And so these home flippers are actually an advantage to buyers as well. But just like anything, I talk about the sticky fingers, and the government's looking to slow down Toronto and Vancouver and slow down these flips. And that is a way to do that is this home flipping tax. So that's the bad. Now on to the ugly. So the government has flat out said homes are for living in, they're not to own as an asset. Now, for somebody like me who doesn't have a pension, I choose to build my retirement plan with real estate. And a lot of people know that real estate is a great tool to generate wealth with. So if you're looking at buying an investment property, this might be in effect to you because the government is talking about raising that minimum down payment from 20%. And we don't know how high it'll go, but they're looking at raising it. Now, in their platform, you'll read that they're actually trying to target REITs, which are real estate investment trusts. These are big companies that are generating a ton of income and they're scooping up a lot of properties. But these properties are more so multifamily. So they're the big apartment complexes. They're typically multifamily. They're not so much just the the single family home with maybe a legal basement suite in it. So if you're an investor and you've been thinking about getting into another property, none of these things have come into effect yet, but I would suggest that you get on it sooner than later because we never know what's going to happen. You guys can click below to sign up for my email list. I try and send out a whole whack load of different things, investment tips, properties, how to do it right, also value-based stuff. You know, here's a good insurance broker, here's a really good deal on utilities when they come along. And the idea is that I'm in it every day, and so the tips and tricks that I find, I try and send out to you guys directly. It's also a place that you can contact me if you start to see something that you really like, you want to go take a look, or if there's a specific question that you have on your property, I'd love to chat with you. You guys just get in contact, let's chat, we'll talk soon.